Hey everybody, I'm Brooke from the Chattanooga Public Library, and I'm here with my friend Halle, and we are going to make a lovely cell phone pouch today. Glad you're here, Halle.
Hi, Brooke. I'm glad I'm here too. I'm glad to see you, and I miss everybody. Glad that y'all are joining us.
Yes, definitely. And for those of you guys who usually come to So What Kids, here's your chance to meet up with us again and to get to know Halle. And for those of you who've never been to the live one, we are so glad to have you here and look forward to working on this project with you. All right, we're going to start off by showing you the supplies that we need for today. You need a pen or a pencil. You need a pair of scissors, a piece of felt or fabric. What I've got here is I'm going to use the felt for the back and the fabric for the front pocket. You don't need a cute little chicken pin cushion, but I happen to have one, and that's where I'm keeping my needle and a pin in case you want to have a pin to use to pin things together. You need paper, and I believe that's it. Did I miss anything, Halle?
Well, if you have a ruler, that might come in handy.
Yes.
But you don't have to.
Yeah, as you can see, my sewing table has a ruler built in, but it would definitely come in handy if you guys have one to measure around your rectangle. You can do this two ways. I'll just give a few instructions, Halle, and then we can get started. Is that good?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay. The first thing you're going to want to do is clear off your space. We just showed all those supplies, so let's get them out of the way. And what I did originally, I'll show it up here too, is I traced my cell phone on a piece of paper, but my cell phone's recording right now. So I just measured the space that I had used, and it was a 5x8 rectangle. So do you want to measure yours and cut yours out?
Sure.
All right, and you can either measure it on this paper, or you can go ahead and take your fabric and measure it on the fabric so you don't have to cut twice.
Okay. So I have felt as well.
Oh, good.
And I have my phone. You know, though, I can't write on the felt with a pencil, so I am going to use paper. So good. I've got my paper, and Brooke, I'm just going to measure right around my phone. Is that right?
Yep. And so then
hold my phone down on the paper.
Uh-huh.
And
trace around.
So you want to keep your phone still.
Yes.
While your pencil moves around. And there's the picture of my cell phone.
Perfect. And then you're going to want to give yourself about an inch on either side so that you have room to slide your phone in.
Okay. So I want to draw a bigger rectangle, Brooke.
You got it.
All right. All the way around the picture I just drew, I'm going to.
Exactly.
So I have my ruler here, and I'm going to draw another line. Might be a little tricky to see that.
Oh yeah, I see.
Just 1 inch from my cell phone picture.
Perfect.
So give me just a moment, Brooke. I'm doing a little technical drawing here with my ruler.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so I have marks on each side of my cell phone picture, and now I'm going to connect those marks to make a bigger rectangle. Is that right, Brooke?
That's perfect, and that's one reason I'm glad you suggested the ruler, because that would be very hard to freehand. But guys, if you don't have a ruler at home, it's okay to freehand it. Just, you know, do your best to make it kind of even all the way around. One nice thing about sewing is that you don't have to be perfect. There are no sewing police going to come and arrest you for something being uneven. Aren't you glad?
I have a bigger rectangle now.
Perfect.
All right.
So now
like
you
a
want
giant cell phone.
exactly. So I've already done it on mine, but what you want to do is go ahead and cut out your rectangle, and that'll be your pattern.
Okay. So I'm cutting carefully on the lines of the bigger rectangle, right?
That's right.
So my cat's knocking stuff off the refrigerator. Sorry if you heard a crash. I told you he was on the fridge, Brooke.
Well, you know, he's world famous.
He has appeared in some library on the library TV lately.
Yeah, you might want to start like an Instagram account for him or something.
All right, there is a rectangle of felt.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Hey, then you want to get your top piece of fabric, and you might want to pick something colorful, you know, like you did. Oh, perfect. You've got Minions. I've got a comic book. Okay. You're going to take that same pattern, and you see how I've got a little mark here?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I decided I wanted my pocket to end.
Okay.
So, but you can make it taller if you don't want as much of your cell phone poking out, you know?
Yes.
Or I think I'm going to leave mine right there. It's a little higher than halfway up.
Okay.
And then I'm going to pin it again.
So I can use my ruler on my paper and say maybe I want to draw a line about 3 inches down from the top of my rectangle.
That's perfect.
Okay.
I misplaced my pen, so I'm going to grab another. Okay, so I'm going to pin it back on. This time you'll be cutting your pattern and your fabric. Perfect. So I'm going to cut like around here, but go across there. And I'm cutting my fabric and my pattern at the same time.
And Brooke, which part of our pattern are we using for this square? The top part or the bottom part?
Oh, we are using the bottom part. Very good question.
Okay.
So you want the part that you're cutting out to be the taller part.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if kids want to go ahead and cut off that top part, that's okay, right? And then they can pin the bottom part?
Yeah, you can do it in 2 steps, definitely. Whatever's easiest. Are you cutting on a table like I am, Halle?
Well, I just cut my paper in the air. I cut my my larger giant cell phone rectangle into 2 pieces, and I'm going to use this bottom piece for my pattern now. And I'm going to stop me if I'm making any mistakes here, Brooke. I'm going to pin it to. I'm going to look for a good minion to cut out.
Oh, so that's a great idea.
Your fabric has a print. You might look for one that you an area of your fabric that you really like, right? And then that can be the part that you cut out.
Definitely. In official sewing circles, that's called fussy cutting.
So I'm going to fussy cut.
You're going to fussy cut.
So I pinned my square to my fabric. It's a minion that I thought looked good.
Excellent.
And I'm cutting on a table. Is that what you'd recommend, Brooke?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're cutting on a table, things are less likely to slide. If you're cutting in the air, things kind of flop around and it's a little harder. So that's just a tip. But if you're not cutting at a table, you can make it work. Another thing you can do, if it'd be easier for you and you have more than one pin, is that you can put a pin in several places so the fabric doesn't flop around quite as much.
Okay. And my scissors are definitely a little bit not sharp, shall we say.
So it's a little harder, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. You'll get it done.
Sometimes you can use the tip of your scissors and it's sharper. You can always get a grown-up to help you too, right? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Grown-ups allowed and so what?
You know what? anybody can be involved. Probably Bunsen wouldn't do the best job with scissors.
Bunsen is a cat.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. Yay!
I left that little curved part, so
okay.
we're not here forever while I'm cutting. But I was trying to get that minion, Brooke.
Did you name him? Does he have a name?
What do you think his name should be?
Fred, maybe?
Okay.
We're gonna
He's like, that's my phone in there.
Yeah. Got tickled. All right. The next step, you are gonna set that pocket on top of your felt.
Okay.
Yep, and make sure you've got the right side of the fabric out, because if you're in a hurry, you might put the wrong side.
Right.
And you want to be Fred. You want Fred to be visible.
Yep. The most colorful side of your fabric.
Yes.
Okay. So we're wanting to pin our fabric to the felt, right?
To the felt. You got it.
Okay.
All right. Now comes the tricky part. You want to pull out your needle and your thread. And I'll give you a little tip on how much thread to use. You want to take it from your, I don't know if you can see this because the thread's so thin, but like you can hold it in your fingers and then go the length of your arm.
Okay.
And then I like to double my thread, so I'll just do the same thing again. You really can't see this.
So why are you doubling it, Brooke? Tell us
I'm
about
doubling it because it's stronger.
Okay.
Especially if you're going to hold something, make something that's kind of holding something. Look at you. That's perfect.
All righty.
I can see your thread better, so that's good.
Got it.
All right.
Here's the spool.
Yep, exactly. And then you'll cut it. Fold it over so that it's a double.
Right.
And then cut it. And the reason I said this is the tricky part is some needles have really big heads. I don't know if you can see. Can't really. Yeah, that one. That one has a really big head. So that one won't be too bad. But if you happen to have one at home that has a really little head, like that, it's going to be a lot trickier.
Do we want to make a knot in our thread yet, or we're just doubling it?
Just doubling it, and then we'll thread it.
Okay.
Then we'll make our knot.
All right.
So that's what I'm doing now is I'm going to thread it.
So got my needle.
Okay.
I thread through my needle, and I have 2 lengths of thread, and there's the 2 tails.
Yes, perfect.
The other end. Okay.
All right, so now we are going to tie a knot at the end. This is a little tricky because your thread wants to move all over the place. But you're just going to make a loop.
You can lick it, right?
That's a great idea. That is a great idea.
Thanks.
Whatever makes it easier. I think I'm going to have to lick it too.
Just one knot, Brooke?
You can do 2 if you want. 1 usually is enough, but if you feel more comfortable.
Okay. Definitely don't want that cell phone falling out.
No.
I already do that.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you want to make one of these that's bigger, like for an iPad or a Kindle Fire, whatever you have, you would just do the same thing. You just measure your device and add another inch. So, all right, I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to get a scrap piece and show you a couple of stitches. See if you can see that, because there's 2 stitches you could use for this. One is called the running stitch, and you just go up and down.
Can you move your hands a little bit towards the camera? There we go. Thanks.
That better?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just went up from the bottom, pulled it all the way up.
Okay.
Went back down. The other stitch that some people find easier is you go up from the bottom, pull it, and you go, instead of going straight down, you're going to go around. And that one's called a whip stitch. See what I'm saying there? Does that make sense there?
So one of them you poke the needle through always on the, well, you go
Down,
from,
up. Whereas on this one, you want to come from the bottom and always come from the bottom.
okay. And
Really, it doesn't matter which one you use, just whatever feels more comfortable.
okay. And they look different too, Brooke, right?
They do. The whip stitch is going to like sort of pull in your edge a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one's going to leave your edge out and kind of floppy.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter. The big thing is, the important thing is you don't want to make your stitches too far apart because it won't be strong. So like if you did this and then went all the way over there,
right,
then it's not going to be as strong of a pocket.
Okay.
So, all right. I'm going to re-knot mine and start on my actual pocket.
And so I've pinned my fabric to my felt. Where should I start sewing, Brooke?
I would start right at the corner here because you want to make sure you don't sew across the top because then you won't have a pocket.
So we're going to sew
from
down,
here, down,
across,
around, and up.
Whoops, and up. Okay.
Yep. And if you run out of thread, before we finish it, I can show you how to secure it and start again. All right, while Miss Halle's sewing, I'm going to show you guys how to secure it if you run out of thread before you're finished. There's two ways. You can do what's called a back stitch. You know how you were going this direction. You can take that thread and you can go the other direction and go down and back up. And that secures it so it's not going to come out. Or this one may be the easiest. You cut your thread right below the needle. I'm gonna put my needle back in my chicken. Okay, then you see how you've got these two tails here? Well, theoretically, there they are. I've got two ends of my thread just like we had at the beginning.
Uh-huh.
You're just gonna tie a knot right there on the back of the fabric. And I usually do a double on the back.
So with that technique, you just want to have enough thread that you can work your fingers in there and tie a knot, right?
Yes. And if for some reason you get like too close to the end of your thread and you find out you run out, you can take it back out. It's really easy if you haven't knotted it yet. You can just take your pin or your needle and get under the stitch and it'll just pull right back out. And that'll give you some extra thread to tie with.
Great.
All right.
I'm so proud of my stitches. It's nice to look back at what you've done and think, I did all that.
Yay.
Can I show you?
Yeah. Oh, that looks really good.
Thanks, Brooke. It's been a while since I've used a needle and thread, so I think I'm almost at the point where I need to add new thread. And so I'm on the front of my minions.
Yep.
but I don't want my knot to show on the front. I
Right.
want it to show on the back, and I'm doing the whip stitch. So
you're going to have to go down one extra time as if you were doing the running stitch so that your thread's on the bottom like you were talking about.
Okay. And now, looks like I can take my scissors and cut right here by the needle, but be careful not to drop the needle on the floor. And
Yep.
then I can tie my knot and just start over.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So I'm just threading my needle again, and I did my knot so folks can see there. I've got the two long tails and the knot right up there against the felt, so hopefully it'll hold those stitches in place. Anything else you'd recommend here? Should I cut the tails a little bit or sew over them?
Yeah, so they don't get tangled, I would cut them. Just make sure you don't cut like the knot off. So don't cut all the way down because then you won't have a knot.
Well, that's not a knot.
And you will not have a knot.
Now, if people don't have fabric and felt, is there anything else they can use to cut up to do this?
Oh yeah, definitely. Please ask your parents first, but if there's like old clothes or curtains or pillows that you're gonna throw away or give away, you can definitely use those. You can upcycle old t-shirts. T-shirt material is going to be a lot more stretchy, so you just sort of have to make sure it's going to hold your cell phone. But pretty much anything you have around the house that's fabric that your parents say is okay to use, let me stress that, can be made into the fabric you need for this.
That was so cool.
It's so fun. It's like doing art or painting, but in a different, more structured kind of way. It's really fun. And like you can get all kinds of fabric, like your Minions, like this superhero fabric, the striped fabric I had. Like you can just get anything, any color, any pattern that you're interested in.
And I'll put my pins in the pin cushion.
And you're ready? Oh, that looks so good. Hi, Fred.
Yeah, Fred is rocking it in the middle of the pocket.
And he's waving at me with a finger. Yay. Okay, you ready for our last step?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, on my example, you can see I have a little handle. And all I did, you don't even have to measure this. You just want to cut a strip. You can use whatever fabric. I'm going to use the same one that I used for the pocket.
What about felt, Brooke?
Yeah, you could totally use felt. As a matter of fact, that might be stronger.
And the other thing about felt is it's handy. It doesn't come apart when you cut it. Like fray is what they call that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. How long a strip are we cutting, Miss Brooke?
I cut mine about, let's see, you can see my ruler here. I cut mine about 7 inches.
Okay.
But you can do it, like if you want a really long handle, you can make it much longer. And once again, here's where your pins will come in handy. That's exactly what you're going to do.
Okay.
I'm gonna pin, and you can pin it on the front or the back. It doesn't matter where your end goes. I think I'm gonna put mine on the back. And this one may take a little help, need a little help from your parents because it's kind of a small area that you're pinning it in. But if not, that's fine.
So you're just pinning the edge of your strap to the top of your bigger rectangle.
Yes. And you're putting one end on one corner and the other end on the other corner.
Okay. And our strip of fabric's going to have a little twist in it. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. You're going to have the right side of the fabric, the side you can see the pattern on the best, facing the front, facing you.
Okay.
Or the opposite, but you need to have both sides turned the same way.
Oh, so I used felt, so mine doesn't have a...
Oh, yeah, so yours doesn't matter. Yeah, you could do it that way too.
Yeah.
And this time you don't have to have as much thread. So if you don't want to go as long as your arm this time, because we're just going to be taking a few stitches on each side.
Okay.
One thing about doing your stitches on this side, on this part, is that it's going to hold the weight of your phone. So what I did when I did mine is I did it twice.
Okay.
So I'll show you. I went across this one time, and then I went back along the same area. So it has double stitches to hold it.
Are we gonna, how could I do the whip stitch on this, Brooke, or should I switch to running stitch?
That is a good question. Yes, switch to running stitch on this one.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some places you can't really use the whip stitch. This is one of them.
So I've made my knot. I'm gonna start from the back of my piece here.
Yep.
Poke my needle in, and you said just to go across the place where the two pieces of felt meet.
Right, exactly. Of course, your chances are not. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
And we're going to do the same thing with the knot on the back that we've done a couple of times already. This time, if you want to use your thread again, the thread that's on the needle, don't cut all the way up to the needle. That way you don't have to rethread.
Good thinking.
Yep. Anything that saves you extra work.
All right, it may not look like a Gucci cell phone case, but
it's a Halle.
Yes, it's a Halle. Designer.
Put your cell phone in there for us.
Yes.
Would, please. Hey, it works.
Yeah, it fits.
Perfect. I love it. Good job.
I like Fred there.
Fred's my new best friend.
All right.
Thanks. That was great. I had fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brooke.